Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Deck Tech for Decks. I've got an exciting one for you today, but before we get started, all I ask is if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Alright, now let's get into it. Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. This is by far my most expensive deck, but not my most powerful. This guy was a perfect fit for the strategy I was trying to pull off. We have Elemental Tribal. He's got the perfect color. He's just going to make our strategy that much better because whenever we cast an elemental, we can rip another elemental right off the top of our library. Hopefully. Let's get into the main strategy of the deck, abusing landfall. We have Ancient Green Warden. Not only is this going to double up on our landfall effects, but it's going to allow us to play our fetch lands from our graveyard. Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. This is going to turn all of our elemental creatures into lands, so whenever they enter the battlefield, we're also going to get landfall effects. Omnath, Locus of Rage. This guy's going to give us 5/5 elementals every time a land enters the battlefield. Additionally, every time one of our elementals dies, he's going to do 3 damage to any target. Omnath, Locus of Royal. Not only can this guy be removal in a pinch, but he can also draw us some cards if we meet the threshold, which we will, and he's going to buff up our elementals. Titania, Protector of Argoth. This girl's going to create a massive board state very quickly because we are running a lot of fetch lands in this deck. Yorick the Desecrated. This guy's pretty good in the deck because not only is he going to double up all of our landfall effects, but he's also going to double up all of our ETB effects. Elemental creatures have a lot of ETBs. Additionally, this guy can just create some pretty insane board states. Tatiova, Benthic Druid. It's not an elemental, but we are going to be playing a lot of lands, so we're going to be drawing a lot of cards with her. Green Sleeves Marrow Sorcerer. We're going to just create a really big Badger army while she's just going to get massive. The Gitrog Monster. Again, not an elemental, but with the amount of lands we're going to be sacrificing in this deck, he's going to create a lot of card advantage. Avenger of Zendikar. You knew this guy was in here. He's going to enter the battlefield, create a lot of plants, and we're going to buff those plant tokens up. Lastly, we just have some land recursion. We have Crucible of Worlds and Perennial Behemoth. This new card for Brothers War is perfect in this deck. One last thing, we run Genesis just to get any of our key pieces that die that we really need back. Alright guys, that's going to do it for all of our land synergies. Let's get into the rest of the elementals. We are running Animar, Soul of the Elements. This guy's going to make it to where we're basically just paying the pips for our elementals, and he's going to get massive while doing it. Averna the Chaos Bloom. This girl's amazing in this deck because every time we cascade, we're going to be able to put a land onto the battlefield. Bane of Progress. This one's just going to wipe the board of any artifacts or enchantments. You know, getting rid of those pesky treasure tokens. Cavalier of Flames. This one's really good because it can pump our whole team, can get us some card advantage. Lastly, if we get enough land cards in our graveyard, he can end the game. Cavalier of Gale, just some pretty easy card advantage. Cavalier of Night, some removal that can bring something back from the graveyard. Cavalier of Thorns, not only is this guy going to go ahead and get you a land, but he can also bring something back from the graveyard. It kind of sucks you have to exile him, but in a pinch, it's really useful. Flamekin Harbinger. This guy's just going to tutor any of our elemental cards to the top of our library. Foundation Breaker, just really good removal. Maelstrom Wanderer. This one's insane because it has Cascade, Cascade, and if we connect with Yidris, that's Cascade, Cascade, Cascade. So he's going to net us 3 cards, which is going to be pretty insane. Mudratha the Gravetide. Perfect for casting those elementals that get stuck in our graveyard. Paco, Arcane Retriever. We are running his partner, so this guy's just going to be additional card advantage, and he's going to get massive. Risen Reef. This one is pretty insane because once he gets going, there's no stopping him, especially if you have Yorick on the battlefield. Rubble Hulk. I've discarded this guy to just go ahead and commander damage someone out before, and there's nothing more satisfying. Soul of the Harvest, just really good card advantage. Vigor. Pair this with Blasphemous Act, and you'll create a massive board state of really strong elementals. Halden, obviously we're running Paco, so this guy is in here. Let's get into the ramp, guys, which there is a lot of. We have Sword of Hearth and Home. This one's amazing because not only can it double up on our ETB effects, but it's going to give us those landfall effects also. Additionally, it can just give Yidris some protection. Arcane Signet, this is really good because we just want to be able to create green mana early on. This is a 4-color deck, so we are going to run any Signet with green in it just so we can cast those Cultivates and stuff. We are running Cultivate and Kodama's Reach. Finally, Gilded Lotus. There is a lot of 3 mana pips in those elementals costs. This is not a very mana cost friendly deck, right? Chromatic Lantern, again, there's some really crazy pips in this deck, so just the fact that we won't have to worry about it is going to be really good. Oracle of Moldiah, not only is this guy going to make it to where we're always drawing gas, but he's going to let us trigger those landfalls more often. The Great Hinge, just really good in this deck. It's card advantage and ramp. Secure Tribe Elder, this guy's just old reliable. He's going to be in all my green decks. 3 Visits, this is really good because we're running the Triumphs, so it can go ahead and catch us one of those. Nature's Lore, again, we'll go ahead and fetch one of those Triumphs or one of our lands or shock lands. Farseek, again, the fact that it says Swamp, Mountain, it can get us whatever we need. Savala, it adds X mana in any combination of colors, so we won't have to worry about mana fixing. Sword of Feast and Famine is just going to let us untap those lands that we've been putting into play all game, which is going to be really efficient. Alright guys, let's move into removal. We are running Terror of the Peaks. This guy's amazing because elementals are not small. Additionally, Yorick is going to double up on his trigger. Warstorm Surge, again, same thing. It's not a creature, but it's still welcome in the deck. Blasphemous Act, this is going to get rid of any token strategy that's really annoying us. Curtain's Call, just really efficient, especially when your commander's Yidris, because you'll cascade off of that 6 mana cost. Beast Within, just get rid of any permanent we don't want onto the battlefield. Vampiric Tutor, again, just really good with Yidris because you can choose what you want to cascade into. Ugin the Spirit Dragon, I love this guy. He's always been one of my pet cards, so we threw him in my favorite deck. Kindred Dominance, who doesn't love a one-sided board wipe? Moving on, let's get card advantage out of the way. We have Kindred Discovery, just really good in the deck. Elemental Bonds, those elementals, most of them are above 3 mana, so this is going to draw us a lot of cards. Additionally, remember, it's an ETB, so Yorick. Guruk's Pack Leader, same thing as Elemental Bond, but he's tacked onto a creature. Rishgar's Expertise, really good in a Yidris deck because not only are you going to get the Cascade trigger off of Rishgar's Expertise, but you'll also cascade off of the card you cast with its ability. Greater Good, really efficient because we have big creatures in the deck, so drawing a lot of cards is going to be exactly what we want to do. Temur Ascendancy, not only does this give all of our creatures haste, but power 4 or greater, we're going to go ahead and draw the card. And remember, those elementals are not small. One last card to cover before we get into the lands. We're running Eternal Witness just because she's so efficient. Okay, finally, let's talk about my shame. We are running very expensive lands in this deck, but I don't want you to think I just went out on a Friday night and said, hey, I'm gonna build this deck and buy all this lands. No, this deck has taken me 4 years to put together, and to this date, it is my only deck with all of the fetches and shocks in it, so don't beat me up too hard. Starting the lands off, we have Lotus Veil and Lotus Field. These cards are going to make it really efficient to cast our elementals with the weird mana cost. Some of them are literally red, red, red to generic, which is, it's kind of hard in a 4-color deck, but this makes it a lot more efficient. Next up, we are running 3 Triumphs. Kitri Triumph, Zagoroth Triumph, and Zator's Proving Ground. I know it's not a Triumph, but we're going to include it here. Next up, we have some fetch lands with Riveteer's Overlook, Prismatic Vista, Terramorphic Expanse, and Evolving Wilds. Lastly, Blighted Woodland. Next up, we are running 6 of the shock fetches. I know only 6. You can run all 10 because technically, you know, if you have a white-black one, you can go ahead and get a black mana source, but it's always felt weird to me. I know technically you can because it doesn't show the mana pips in the cost or whatever, but like again, it's always been weird to me, so we're just running 6. And then we are running all 6 shock lands also. This is just going to power up our board because we are running a lot of landfalls, so every time we shock one of those in, it's basically like an additional landfall trigger. Additionally, if we have something that can play from the graveyard and something that lets us play additional lands, we are going to get 4 landfall triggers. So with them being that efficient in the deck and the mana costs of the creatures being weird, I justified it in this deck, and at the end of the day, it's not that powerful. I mean, it's pretty good, but let's be honest. Go ahead and run Corvold and anything else, and it's gonna smash this thing. So, like I said, it's my fun deck, and it's my most expensive deck, but I love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.